So let's look at what industry is saying about the growth in software and how this might have an impact on the increased awareness around OSPOs. So from the 2023 GitHub Octoverse stats, so this is for last year, there were 100 million developers using GitHub. So that was a 26% increase in all global developer accounts on GitHub. 98 million new projects were started on GitHub in 2023. Developers made 301 million contributions, total contributions to open source projects across GitHub. And finally, in this same GitHub survey, again from last year, it showed that over 30% of Fortune 100 companies have now implemented OSPOs to help structure organizational policies and procedures around open source. And GitHub, like us here, we expect this number to increase in 2024. So we have a growing number of companies that have been adopting OSPOs to be the center of competency for their organization's open source operations. If you compare that to even as recent as 2020 or 2021, we still had to explain to a lot of folks what an OSPO was. So we're seeing not just more awareness about OSPOs, but many new OSPOs coinciding with this growth in software. Beyond these data points from our own observations, we're seeing more understanding or better understanding of open source licensing in compliance staff, and we expect that this will continue to grow. C-suites across the globe seem more interested or involved in open source topics such as inner source or contributions to open source projects. So it's been a really interesting shift compared to years past. Additional perspectives coming to open source due to more users, so more awareness, which could be due to new regulations and availability of more resources, which we should get to here before we wrap up today. Here are a couple more quick data points on the increase in OSPOs and OSPO awareness. These are from a 2023 Linux Foundation report by the To-Do group on the state of OSPOs and the OSS initiatives. I'll talk a little bit more about the To-Do group later on. So 96% of organizations reported that their OSPOs have driven significant improvement in software development practices. So OSPOs are bringing more value than just license compliance. I suspect some of this improvement to be a result of reducing the burden on developers. And then the second data point, organizations with OSPOs are nearly always better positioned to leverage leading edge technologies. I suspect this is also due to easing some of the burden on developers, especially if the OSPO is able to make the onboarding or integration of new software technologies that much easier. Here are some of the more practical or direct benefits. So I touched on this on the last slide, but this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest for me. OSPOs reduce the burden on development teams. So a well-designed OSPO can take the heavy lifting off of a developer when it comes to managing license compliance and security. And so this really maximizes the value of the OSPO since it allows developers to spend more time doing what they're supposed to be doing, developing software. Crazy, I know. Identifying potential IP issues. This could be the result of an open source license that has IP implications, which could range from something that subjects your proprietary code to an open source license to patent grants in open source licenses. A different but related issue could be identifying a piece of software that might require a commercial license that a developer may have inadvertently used. The OSPO could facilitate a discussion to see if it's either worth replacing or procuring a commercial license to continue its use. Contributions to or management of SBOM requirements. So this most often comes down to inventory of software, which many OSPOs are doing a great job of managing. When you have an OSPO or similar governance structure, you get better understanding of use of open source within your company. You have better confidence in your open source posture, whether that's license compliance or security. Formal processes enable your developers to make informed decisions about the risks surrounding your use of software. And as a result, the company's exposure to open source risks, licenses, or security can be significantly reduced. In addition to all of these, implementing an open source governance program like an OSPO just directly helps you become a better software company. Your trusted